Hey gang, Mark back with you, and we're going to be talking today about redundancy. You might remember my last video, we did James Bond the musical, and then several months ago we had a video on irony. Well, here's another little aspect of our language that you should know about: redundancy. Redundancy. Which is, of course, saying the same thing twice. Now, unlike what I just did, it's usually saying the same thing twice without realizing it. You do it because maybe you've always heard it said that way, or you're just sort of not really thinking about how you're saying something. And so you don't even usually notice, but you say something repetitive, wordy, redundant. This is not necessarily a problem, but some people will notice, and some people may notice in your writing or in your speaking and think, that person's a little sloppy with their language. So I'm going to give you some pointers with our probably top 20 or so common redundant sayings in our language. You can be thinking, do I say any of those things? And maybe think about trying to correct those. Otherwise, every time you talk, the other person's going to feel like it's deja vu all over again. This is our first example, class. Deja vu. You know what that means, right? Something feels like it happens all over again. So if you say, wow, that was like deja vu all over again, man, what you're saying really is, it was like something happening all over again. See, that's redundant. So just call it deja vu, or just call it, wow, that felt like I've done that before, man, or something like that. So if you hear this thing you've heard before, just call it deja vu and leave it at that, or call it chopsticks and leave it at that. Another thing you don't need to say is needless to say. It's like, you go over and ask somebody what they did last night. What did you do last night, man? Well, I usually just kind of sit around by myself, and so last night, I was sitting by myself, and needless to say, blah, 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 blah. Think about the words. If it's really needless to say, then don't say it. And if it's not really needless to say, then don't say it is. This next example I get from my friend Scott. We gather together. Look at the words, they even look similar. I'm betting that gather is the same word as in gather, as in together. What do we do when we gather? We come together. So you can just gather. You don't have to gather together because no one gathers apart. You know what I'm saying? But it might be, having to do with that song. We gather together, together, together. We hasten to chasten Dick Grayson the Mason. The pilgrims are pressing, put salad in their dressing. And now you know why there's not more Thanksgiving songs. Why there's not more Thanksgiving songs, that's a whole other video. But we'll get to that at some point. But some people might see the lack of Thanksgiving music, and hence the fact that some people will start playing Christmas music like midnight October 31st as a terrible tragedy. That's our next redundancy class. Terrible tragedy. Are there tragedies that are not terrible? Not really. By definition, a tragedy is terrible. So there's no need to say terrible tragedy. That's implying that there's some other tragedies that aren't so bad, which of course is silly. I mean, when something's funny, we don't say wonderful comedy every time that happens. So just say tragedy and you won't be redundant. This next one I give to you as an added bonus. You ever hear that phrase used on like those late night TV commercials or daytime infomercials, whatever, where the product always inevitably costs what? $19.95. That's right. I don't know why they always cost that, but we'll not only give you this Ginsu knife for the ridiculously low price of $19.95, we'll give you a second one absolutely free. And then you start thinking, okay, they just talked about what a great deal it is to get this Ginsu knife for only $19.95. So if they're giving me the second one for nothing, how valuable can it really be? But getting back to why it's redundant, a bonus class is something added. So an added bonus is something added. That's like a double positive. You know, remember your grade school grammar teacher telling you don't use a double negative like I ain't got none, because then that really means you have got some. No, it doesn't. English class is not math. Is not a math problem. Grammar, a sentence is not a math problem. So a double negative does not equal positive, but a double positive like added bonus definitely makes me feel negative. By the way, if they also offer you a free gift, don't go for that either. Are there gifts that are not free? No. A gift by definition is free. If you pay for it, it ain't a gift. So just call it a gift and leave it at that.
Hey man, I got just then in 1995 for this amazing TV offer, and as an added bonus, they sent me a free gift. Oh really? What is it? It's a book. Complete and unabridged.
Complete and unabridged. They must not have known, class, that we know that unabridged means complete. So complete and unabridged means complete and complete. Wow, that's really complete. But actually, you can't have degrees of completeness. Something either is complete or it's not. It can't be more complete. It's kind of like the word unique. You can't have something that's very unique, because unique means one of a kind. So very one of a kind? I don't think so. What would that be like? One of two kinds? Some weird poker hand that hasn't even been invented yet. So forget that. Some of our abbreviations are even redundant. Let's talk about ATMs. You know the history of ATMs. They date back to like the early 1980s, I believe. But actually, they were predicted decades before that in a futuristic movie called The Wizard of Oz. Remember when Dorothy's captured by the witch and she's up there in her castle or whatever and looking in the crystal ball and sees her relative, and Dorothy cries out. Remember what she cries out? ATM, ATM! Yep. So that's when ATMs were first mentioned, but they were invented in the early 80s. Automated teller machines said what they did. They replaced the actual human teller. So don't go to the ATM machine anymore.
How will I get money out?
Just go to the ATM. Because if you go to the ATM machine, you're going to the automated teller machine, and none of us wants that. By the way, when you're there, don't put your PIN number in.
Well, then how do I get money out?
Just put your PIN in, your personal identification number. Not your personal identification number. So not your PIN number. I don't know what a number is. Do you? Anybody? No. What a number is. I'm not hearing anything. By the way, you may be wondering, is that really what PIN stands for? Yes, it's a true fact. There's our next redundancy class, true fact. Are there facts that aren't true? Well, no, actually these days with politics, right, they talk about fact-checking people. Okay, people will say things are a fact that aren't necessarily true, but a true fact, a real fact is always true. Facts are true by definition. So the truth of the matter is, the fact of the matter is, just the fact will do. You don't need the true part. We also have redundancies for directions and places. Like here's one, join together. Reminds me of gather together a bit. Join together. Okay, when you join two things, you bring them together. So we don't need to say join together. We can just say join. Let's join hands now. Not let's join together hands now. Now, join together, of course, made famous by that song from long ago, which you may have no idea what I'm talking about unless you're a diehard Who fan, because I don't think it was ever on any album, even, well, maybe later, Best Hits album. But they had a redundant song called Join Together. Now, the song wasn't redundant, but the title was, and so I've actually invited Roger Daltrey here to play it for you, sing it for you rather, and of course Roger couldn't make it, but his cousin Fred is here, so hang on just a second. Hello. Do you really think I care that you won't blow dry my hair? I want you to join together with the band. You can ping or you can ping or you can pong. You can sing the lyrics wrong and play the notes wrong too. I want you to join together with the band. Join together, join together. I want you to join together with the band. Excuse me. Thank you, Fred, or whatever your name was. Anyway, yeah, join together, another redundancy. How about time? Well, no, before time, let's do another place one. Here's another one you hear today. Safe haven. Safe haven. Do you know what a haven is, class? It's a safe place. So safe haven means a safe place. Is that a place where they keep safes safe? I don't know. You don't need to say safe haven, just say haven. Unless you're like talking about a retirement home or something, safe havens, okay. Because just haven doesn't sound like much, and you don't want a retirement center called unsafe havens or something like that. But actually, class, there's no such thing as a dangerous haven, so you can simply say haven. Sorry I didn't give you any advance warning about that one. We also have some time redundancies in our language like this one. Are you ever warned about something after it's already happened? No. You could be criticized for it or said, told you so, but that's not a warning. No, we're always warned ahead of time, so any warning is advance, so we don't need to say advance warning, just warning. Now, sometimes even time itself is redundant. Actually, twice a day, every day, time itself is redundant, as in 12 noon and 12 midnight. Now, let me explain here. Sometimes you do need to clarify, right, whether you mean noon or midnight, so you can't always just say 12, though, of course, if you're talking about going to lunch at 12, nobody's going to think you mean midnight, right? But, so then you don't have to add the 12. But if you just say midnight, that's sufficient. Nobody's going to think, did he mean 12 midnight or 3:45 midnight? Or if you just say noon, they're not going to wonder, did she mean 12 noon or 10:23 noon? Even our legal terms can be redundant. Imagine that. Take this crime, for example, aiding and abetting. You know what abetting means? Helping. So aiding and abetting means helping and helping. Wow, 2 helpings. You must really be hungry. Seriously, that's redundant. It's not really 2 different crimes. It's kind of like breaking and entering. I mean, well, come to think of it, is that really 2 different crimes? Can you break without entering? And if you can, shouldn't they just call that breaking? And can you enter without breaking? Oh yeah, that's called living there. That's not really a crime. So let's say you see this guy breaking and entering and the police interview you. That conversation could be full of redundancies. Okay, citizen, could you tell us, please, what the suspect looked like? Could you describe his outward appearance? Well, I'll try. I don't think I can describe his inward appearance, for example. Well, he's probably got ribs and guts and duodenum and colon and duodenum. One of those two. Anyway, very funny wise guy. Okay, sorry. Okay, outward appearance, yes. He was bald-headed. Bald-headed, as opposed to bald-armed or bald-legged. He got me there. Yeah, that was redundant, I guess. No, I'm pretty sure he had hair on his arms and his legs. And what happened to him? Where'd he go? Oh, well, he just disappeared from sight. Disappeared from sight. So you could still smell him, taste him, hear him. No, sorry, he just disappeared. Man, when they said the police wanted to interview me, I didn't know they meant the grammar police. Now, class, I'd like to revert back to an earlier example. Just kidding. Revert back, that's our next and almost our next to last example. Revert means go back. So revert back means go back, back. So don't say that, just say revert. Don't go back, back, do it again. Words turning round and round. Reminds me of another song. Get back, get back, get back to when you weren't redundant. Get back, get back, get back to when you weren't redundant. Get back, Tojo. Your mama's waiting for you. Wearing her low-neck shoes and her high-heeled sweater. Get on home, Geppetto. Well, finally, it's not a good idea to correct someone else's redundancies if you hear them in their speech, especially, say, if it's a job interviewer. Not a good idea. It might go something like this. All right, just a few more questions. You're doing pretty well so far. Let's see here. Do you have any prior experience? No, sorry, all my experiences haven't happened yet. Oh, all right. Well, how about future plans? Well, I do have some plans, but they already exist. Sorry. Last question. I see you live about an hour away. Is that going to be a problem? Oh, no, I'll just commute back and forth. Commute back and forth, as opposed to commuting some other way? Well, yeah, I could just come here and stay. True, but that wouldn't be commuting then, would it? Oh, yeah, dang. Don't call us. We'll call you. Well, class, that's all for now. But let me not leave you thinking that redundancy is evil or that it's always bad. If we took every single redundancy out of our language, it would be kind of terse, abrupt, quick, cold even. A little redundancy here and there makes the language quaint. So use some once in a while, just not every once in a while.